So we are with Mike Puma, who is the co-founder and CEO of Empower AI. Mike has a fascinating journey from starting out as a Century 21 partner, navigating the challenges of, obviously traditional real estate to now leading a cutting edge company that's focusing on, and correct me if I'm wrong, elevating workforce productivity with AI. So would love to start by rewinding just a little bit, Mike, talking about your journey. How'd you go from running a brokerage to, deciding you needed to build a company like Empower AI?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey for sure. Yeah, I mean, taking it way back. So I started my first company at 17 with my older brother, which was in the sporting goods world. Played baseball all the way through college, and just saw this white space at the time for an opportunity there. And so we started that business, and it was brick and mortar sporting goods, focused on like high end stuff you couldn't buy at the time. Amazon was not doing anything other than books. So it wasn't like Amazon existed, right? So you had like Sports Authority, you had Dick's, you had those guys, but those, especially then, they didn't focus on any of the high end stuff. They were focused on like the entry level player. And they also didn't do anything with the local leagues. They were really not involved with local parks, local leagues at all. And so I saw this white space. So we ended up starting this business, and couple of years into it, we're doing, seven figures in sales and have multiple locations, and it kind of exploded. And then by the end, we were servicing over 300 leagues. And so it was, crazy expansion. And we ended up selling that business as I was coming out of school, and we went through the recession. I graduated in '08, and we sold the business in '09. So, for those that are old enough to have gone through that, it was a really fun time if you were owned your own business during that period, right? So learned some lessons for sure, but we ended up making it through and sold that to Play It Again Sports. And then it just so happened that I met a guy who was bringing the mattress firm to the Tampa Bay area, a bunch of franchise locations, and said, "Hey, do you think you could help us grow these throughout the area?" And so I went and did that, and we opened 24 in 12 months, and we ended up selling that entire region back to Mattress Firm Corporate. In the process of doing that, met to the founders of a company called Ideal Image, which is throughout the country. But at the time, they had 48 locations, and the same concept. They were like, "Hey, can you come help us? We want to buy back these franchises, and we want to grow a bunch of locations across the United States and hopefully sell." And so we did that. So I went there and spent 5 years, and we opened 5 years later, had 124 locations, and we sold it to Steiner Leisure, who's a publicly traded company. And then I got into the private equity space, and that's kind of where I started veering off and going more into eventually the real estate side. So I got into private equity, and we were investing in everything from e-commerce to derm to dentist to you name it. We were investing in it, and then eventually got into more on the commercial side of real estate, and then met my about 12 13 years ago, met my now business partners Jeff and Craig, who had a residential real estate brokerage, and they were also had been heavily investing in private equity as well. And so we met and then decided to partner together and build and bring kind of some of the things I was doing on the tech side, because I've always, at the core of everything I've done has been technology, and decided to see if we could bring that to the real estate world. And so that's what we did. And at the time, they had 100 and something agents, and now today we still own the real estate brokerages, so that's still a piece of our business. But now we have about 650 agents across Florida and expanding now into new states. And then the last year, not even last 6 months, we decided to take everything that we have learned and built and used in our brokerage and actually build that into a platform called Empower AI, which is basically a brokerage AI powered platform that allows brokerages or agents, you can get at the agent level, but a lot of our clients are either at the brand or brokerage level, and brings those tools and that kind of workflow and automation into their everyday agents' lives. And so it's been an interesting journey. I think for me, though, the biggest thing along the way was just kind of figuring out pretty early on that wasn't the industry for me. I like real estate a lot. But tomorrow, if my business partners came and said, "Hey, let's go open a cookie store," cool. For me, it was the product, which I know is contrary to what a lot of people say. The product to me matters far less than the people. As long as I'm doing it with people that I really trust and really want to grow something with, I'm all in. Doesn't matter what the product is, we'll figure it out. But the people matters way more to me than the industry. So it's been a fun ride. Really like real estate a lot, and we're building something I think pretty powerful and cool inside of the AI world within it. But yeah, we're looking at all verticals as well.
Wow. Yeah, man. You talk about just well versed in different industries and different nuances as time has gone on, especially getting started so early. You said you're 17, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my
Man.
dad was a serial entrepreneur, so I saw it from a young age. I mean, almost just getting like a regular job, I'm not even sure like I thought was a thing when I was a
Yeah,
kid. And so it's kind of an interesting path for sure.
it is. I always think back to my dad had his own business. He was a healthcare IT sales recruiter, but he did it for like 25 years. And so it was the same thing every day, and it was just a consistent, reliable kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, I was really pushed to go get a job at Einstein Bros or go get,
Yeah.
I was an umpire for a little while, which is a little
Yeah.
bit, you can kind of do that on top of some other stuff,
Right.
but kind of wish I would have had that push or that nudge to dig a little deeper as opposed to just, go get a job because that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
no, that's super cool, and I love how you touched on, the people, whether rather than the product, and I think that's a big part of, especially in any business. But when you're a serial entrepreneur yourself now, that's something that if you're with the right people, the right opportunities seem to find themselves, and you're able to just kind of roll with the punches and figure out, hey, what's next, but trusting the folks that you're with to get you there. So
Yeah.
love that. I am curious on when you did start with Century 21, and you guys kind of came up with this idea eventually to launch, Empower. What were some of the challenges that you saw that agents and brokers were facing at the time where you felt like, hey, maybe technology could help to leverage some of these?
Yeah, I mean, when I first got involved with them, and I'd never been that entrenched into like the regular traditional residential real estate world.
Sure.
So the first few months I just spent kind of like dissecting like how they operated. And I'm like, it was such a fascinating business model to me because I never really dove that deep into it. But I'm sitting there watching this and then I'm taking a step back and I'm like, man, this is venture capitalism, right? Like that's essentially what this brokerage model is because you have somebody who comes who wants to start a business, just happens to be selling homes, and they come to you and they're like, "Hey, will you help, invest in me essentially? And then if we win, you're going to take a percentage, I'm going to take a percentage, right?" So as the broker, I'm literally saying, "I'm going to do this, this, and this. I'm going to invest in you. I'm going to invest in the business. I'm going to get you, and this is my role of this partnership, and this is your role of this partnership." And so looking at it and kind of stripping it away, I'm like, man, this is essentially this is like an incubator,
Hmm.
right? Like that's what we are in the startup world. They just don't look at it that way because it's real estate. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So let's take it from that vantage point then. Let's stop thinking about this as if traditional real estate has always been done this kind of way, and this is the services you provide to an agent. Scrap all that. Let's take a fresh start, a fresh perspective, and let's look at it from that perspective. And so I did. And when I started doing that, that's where I started realizing that the biggest asset that an agent brings to me as the broker owner is that they know people I don't know, right? So if I can get them consistently more in front of those people and then know what to say when they're in front of those people and show up better in front of those people, then they're going to sell more. And when they sell more, we all make more money, right? And
Yep.
so that became the simple philosophy. So then it became, okay, well, how do we do that? How do we train them better? How do we give them more better marketing material? How do we take away the stuff that they don't enjoy doing, because most people in real estate did not come from a business background. Most did not, did not go to school for marketing. Most didn't go to school. So how do I streamline that? How do I make that process as simple as possible and arm them with as much as I can to make them really good at what they are great at, which almost every successful real estate person is, and that is human to human connection, right? They're really good at the client part. And so, how do I enable them to just focus on that and take all the other stuff off of them, or at least streamline it and make them more efficient? And that's changed drastically over the years as far as how we do that. But that became the mission. And so at that point, we started building tools, building automations, building things internally. And fortunately, I'm self-taught, but I learned how to code and I learned how to build things. And so I was able to take that and start doing that. And having access now to hundreds of agents, we had our own guinea pigs. We had agents in, I always say Empower AI was really agent built. I
Mm-hmm.
coded it, but it was built by them. It was built by them coming to us with problems and friction points and saying, okay, that's a problem. How do I do it? And then my agents love this, but I tell them all the time, like, even as a dad, my biggest pet peeve on this planet is excuses. I hate them like so much. I hate it. So my kids will tell you
I
that.
bet your kids
And
love that.
oh my
Yeah.
God, like they've learned, they're 15 and going on 12. So they know now. But if you ask them, I mean, they won't even hesitate. Hey, what drives your dad nuts? Excuses. Like they know, like right away. Because I'm just a big believer in control what I can control.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm complaining about something, then I just have to ask myself one question. Do I have control? Because I want everything to be my fault. I want it to be my problem, because if it is, I have the power to fix it. I can't solve the weather raining, right? So why am I worrying about that? Why am I complaining about it? I can't control that. So I just always had that kind of philosophy of like I hate excuses. So literally every excuse that an agent has brought me, I'll take a step back and be like, well, can we control it? Can we fix that problem? And if I can go build a tool that's going to solve that problem, I will do it. And they will have it next day. So now I can say, okay, that excuse is gone. Now what? And so we've, over the years, removed every excuse an agent could possibly give us. And
Yeah.
then it became, okay, well, now we've got something that's really empowering our agents. So how do we take that and help all of the other agents and brokers across the industry and change their lives and change their business and empower them? And that's where the entire platform came. And so we just started taking these tools that we have been testing with our agents and really perfecting and making sure they were actually impactful and that they were having an impact on their business, and then giving it to everybody else.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, it's something where it's like I love the piece where you talk about I can control what I can control, because there is so much that is out of your control. But if there is something that you can take ownership of and change the way that something's happening, whether for yourself or whether for the people that you're working with or the agents or whatever that looks like, there's power in that. Because, I wish there was more of that in the world, really, in terms of people taking ownership and taking control of what they can do. There are a lot of excuses, there are a lot of reasons why people can't do something, or why they choose or say they can't do something. But when it comes down to it, it's like, well, what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to
Right.
roll over, or are you going to actually fight back? And so, while I'm sure your kids get tired of hearing no excuses, I mean, you're instilling in them that work ethic and that, drive from an early age, which is going to serve them well, and probably would be useful for a lot of other people's children, a lot that I know.
Well, sports, man, sports help
Yeah.
so much, especially baseball. I'm biased towards baseball, but any sport, it really does. And both my kids play, and it helps because it reiterates that concept, right? And I credit sports, especially baseball, to really where I got today is almost 98%. Obviously I was blessed to have great parents and a great upbringing and a lot of great influences and mentors and all of that for sure. But the skill set and the mindset that sports brings is something that can teach you so much more, in my opinion, than I ever learned in college.
Hmm.
And I go back and I went to University of Tampa and I'm part of their entrepreneurship center and I go back and give talks. I'm sure they love that. But I basically tell them like, hey, I learned more, outside of these walls doing it in business and in sports than I ever did inside of them. And it's just the reality of it, right? But I truly believe there are very few athletes that played a sport for a long time or at a high level that shouldn't understand that concept because eh, I mean, you can't complain and be a high level. It's just not
Yeah.
possible because you can't control everything and you learn to deal with so many different things. And so
And
I always tell my
adversity.
kids now, like
Yeah.
you're going to this game will teach you a lot if you let it, right? You have to let
Yep.
it teach you, and but it will teach you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm the same way. I played baseball into college and I was a pitcher. And
Yep, me
so,
too.
the attention to detail that you have to have and the precision and just emphasis on your process and showing up every day and being intentional with how you're going about it. If you let up for just a second, you could get away with it, for in high school because, at least in my district, the kids weren't the most, you didn't have a lot of Barry Bonds esque
Yeah, for
hitters
sure.
that you're going up against. But on the travel teams that I played on, and especially into college, if you didn't show up and take that ownership of your own, especially in a sport like baseball, because
Yeah.
it's as much as it's a team sport, it's really one of the only sports that is so individualistic
Yeah.
that you have to control yourself, and like you can't control anything else that's going on outside of
No.
maybe like thrown to the relay man or like the base running with the team. But it's all how you show up on that, different than like a basketball team when you're subbing in and out, or even a football team as a wide receiver when you're blocking for people. Like baseball is very very individualized in that sense. So
Yeah, yeah. Well,
um
and it's a game of failure, right? Whoever
yeah.
whoever fails less wins.
Yeah,
So, but
exactly.
but because of that, like I just look back at baseball, and I'm like, okay, especially as a pitcher, I had to go out. I had to have a certain level of preparation. I had to have a certain mindset. Then I had to go out and I had to execute, but not just execute once. I got to execute over and over and over and over. And if you don't execute, you learn very quickly, right? Now I'm getting a direct response because I didn't execute well on that pitch and it got hit 418 feet. But I
Yeah.
also learned, right, as I'm pitching, that me throwing a strike as a success doesn't mean that I'm going to throw a strike on the next one. Just like me throwing a ball doesn't mean the next pitch is going to be a ball. So if I failed on that pitch, doesn't mean I'm going to fail on the next one. And then if he did get a hit, doesn't mean he's going to get a hit in the next one. And just because I had a good inning doesn't mean I'm going to have a good next inning. And just because I had a good game doesn't mean I'm going to have a good next game. And but these highs and lows, you learn to manage them to a spot where now in business, I never get too high and I never get too low. The feedback, obviously it's great. I just got back yesterday from a conference in front of a bunch of brokers. Every single broker signs up for the platform. It's great. They're all telling me how great it is. And I appreciate that. Also means nothing, right? Like I'm still going to come back today and still execute. So like this ability to handle the high and the low and this ability to deal with failure, like when I say I am 0% scared to fail, zero. Like it just the idea of something not working does not bother me at all. In fact, in some ways, I think I almost crave it to fail because
Hmm.
now it's like, all right, now I know it doesn't work. Now let's dig in even deeper, right? And it's even as when I was a pitcher, a bad outing, man, there was nothing that could motivate me for my next start than a bad outing,
Yep.
right? So it's like all I take away, and I didn't do it at the time. Like if I have one regret, it's that I actually recognized it more when I was actually going through it, and I don't think I did. But looking back now, especially, I'm like, man, like all of those things led me to where I am right now and led to the mindset. And because I watch people, and some people are crippled by the idea of failing. And that doesn't mean, to be clear, that I'm like some robot that doesn't have fear, doubt, and anxiety. I absolutely do. When we were creating Empower, someone could be like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen." And in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Yeah, but it probably sucks, and no one's going to use like that." You're
Yeah.
always going to have fear, doubt, and anxiety. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying I don't let it hinder me. It doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't affect my decision making. It's not going to hold me back from releasing it. It's not going to. And I'm not seeking perfection ever. I'm just seeking action. Like I don't debate anything, right? We're just gonna go, and if it doesn't work, great. I learned one more thing that doesn't work. So
Yep.
all of that to me is all credited back in my case to baseball, but I think so many sports translate to that. And as a pitcher, I had to have defense behind me, so I learned to
Yep.
control what I can control. If my shortstop boots 4 balls in the game, okay, like that sucks, but I still have
Yeah.
to throw the next pitch,
Yeah.
right? And then I get to go back to my dorm room and be like, you know what? Yeah, he booted that ball, but actually, if I executed it where I wanted to on the outer half, the guy should have
It
struck
wouldn't have
out
gone
in the
to
swing
him
and
in the
put the ball
first
in
place.
play.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind
Yeah.
of my fault, right? I got to execute better. So I would play that game with myself, but at the end of the day, I would try to take as much accountability for that as anybody because I could control it. I threw the damn pitch,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know. I think a lot of that just predicates back to sports and baseball, and I wish everybody played sports at a high level because I think they would learn from it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and it's how do you respond to, adversity, but it's how do you respond when things are going well, and how do you respond especially when things aren't going well? Do you get down on yourself? Do you start to doubt? Do you start to get that, fear that cripples you? Because if it does, you're gonna fail. You're gonna continue to fail. You have to have that self confidence and that self determination to get right back up and do it better the next time and come back. And I agree. I think sports is just something that not even that part too. And then also, you throw in like just the competition side
Oh
too,
yeah, 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 yeah,
where
absolutely.
it's like that's the part where, I've been in sales for a long time, and even to this day, that's my sport for a lot of companies that I've
Yeah.
worked for. And so when I see other people that are doing better than me, I'm like, oh hell no, this is not about to happen. And so, whether I end up on top or not, I have that inner just like fire about like, okay, well, like, this is what I'm going to do to show up today, and this is how it's going to be different for me, and how, and it goes through those same principles and all of that. So
Yeah.
um, well, I am so I know we touched briefly just kind of on like the component of what you guys do in regards to agents, and especially like you said, like at the conference, everybody's like, yeah, I love what you do. For people who aren't familiar, give us just a quick elevator pitch, if you would, of what is Empower AI, and what, problems are you guys solving for real estate teams and agencies, kind of in a condensed version.
Yeah, I mean the short pitch is we give agents superpowers. So it's
Hmm.
your ability to kind of leverage the impact of AI without actually ever knowing AI. I won't speak for every agent out there. I'll just speak for ours. 99% of my agents are never going to learn to be prompt engineers, and they're never going to really understand the actual backside of AI. There's not.
Yeah.
And so I look at that and say, okay, no problem. I need to make this so simple that if you can fill out a form and click a button, you can use our tools. And so what we did is we built tools that solve everyday agent problems, from creating content on demand, dynamically branding content, to obviously doing simple stuff like writing listing descriptions, writing agent bio. We have virtual staging tools. They upload a photo, virtually stage it. We have one tool that will virtually stage it 8 different ways and give you an embed tool that now your client can literally slide and see what the room is currently and what it could be. Things like that. We have a quick CMA tool that will build a CMA for a property, enter an address, and it'll do it in 15 seconds, brand, give you the ability to download it with a full AI analysis behind it. We have another tool that creates interactive hotspot images. So if I have a home with a new roof and hurricane windows and all these features that you can't see just by looking at it, you can actually create little hotspots so a client can actually click on it and see that. things like that, right? So, and then what we did is all of our tools are literally built from a user interface perspective where you're literally clicking, you're filling out a form, you're clicking a button, and then we're doing all the heavy lifting on the back side of it so that you don't ever have to see the prompting in the algorithm and everything because we're taking care of that on the backside. You're just getting the output. And so essentially, we're taking the everyday kind of agent of what they go through and the tasks they have to complete and simplifying that down and making that side faster so that they can have better human to human connection with their clients. And I truly believe that that's the way it's going. I think there's a lot of speculation that, oh, AI is going to ruin, the human to human connection. And I couldn't disagree more. I actually think one, it's going to make us crave it more. I think we're going
Yeah.
to crave more in-person experiences. I think that's going to happen. But I also think that if AI is leveraged properly to do the things that we're not very good at and that aren't human to human, like data analysis and market analysis and CMAs and all that, it's not client related. It has nothing to do with you building a relationship. So if I can take that and streamline that and take that from being a couple hours of your life to 30 seconds, I just freed up all that time where now I can take an extra client to coffee. I can
Yep.
take an extra client call. I can reach out to my clients and just check in to see how they're doing. I can improve that human to human connection. So, and we're doing a lot around scripting and things like that. And we have a role play tool that literally allows an agent to go in and have real conversations, real objections, and just get better at their craft. So we're using AI in a variety of ways in there. I think we have 18 different tools right now, all in one easy to use platform that's kind of streamlined. So that's the idea. That's the mission we're on, is to kind of simplify AI down and allow agents to kind of use it. And we have no high wish that like every agent in there is going to use every tool. It's not.
Sure.
But for there is something for every level of agent, no matter what.
Totally. Yeah, and I think to your point, the human interaction is I agree in the sense that a lot of people, whether it's a fear of AI that's going to just take away all the jobs, take away, I would disagree completely on that for one, because with the way that AI is transforming different industries, things that it's unlocking, new ways that people are thinking about going about business in general. If anything, it's going to unlock more opportunities because there's going to be new doors that are opened that have to be managed in some capacity by a human. And so there's that piece of it, but also just that human to human interaction. The different clients that I work with, that's one of the things that, while automating a lot of processes and simplifying a lot of things is great, you still have to, in a lot of worlds, have that human relationship to be able
Yeah.
to instill trust, to be able to close deals, to be able to do this. I was reading something yesterday that came out that they were talking about, home buying in the next year or so. They're really looking at different mechanisms and ways that the whole home buying experience will be done without having any face-to-face interaction with any human, from the listing to the virtual tours to a DocuSign that's going to be in there. And it's like, okay, well, that's great, and maybe that works for that, but that's not going to work for everything. Like, people still buy from people. People still, have to lean on that trust and that communication and that human element to feel safe, feel, comfortable in what they're doing. And I think to your point, like, if anything, it's going to unlock more opportunities for that, to
For sure.
further instill trust, further instill, just that relationship building component to it. Because otherwise, it's like, it's like we're all robots, and that's not good for anybody.
No, and I think anytime you have a big technological shift, right? I mean, if you look back at the internet being created, everyone's like, "Oh my God, the internet! I'm gonna avoid the internet. I'm not going on there," right?
Yep.
You lose. Oh, and now it's AI, right? And then it was social and all. And I'm not saying there's not negative impacts. There always are negative impacts, right? And there certainly will be with AI. That
Sure.
we're already seeing some. I just think that there's a couple of things at the surface level that we just have to be aware of from a human perspective, right? Number one is technology will always win. So us putting our head in the sand and pretending it's not here or coming is silly. You will lose, you will be outdated. As far as it replacing jobs, logic is always going to win. Like the quick
Yep.
example I always give people is like, you use a fork to eat? Because you could use your hands. Like I could scoop up rice with my hand and eat it. I could, right? It would do it. Why do I use a spoon or a fork? Because it's faster, it's more efficient, it's easier. Welcome to AI, right? And so I just kind of take this step back of like, is it going to replace some jobs? Yeah, but that's logical. Like you have to be
Hmm.
honest. Like if you, anytime something can do it better, right? We used to ride around on horses. We don't anymore for the most part because cars are faster, right?
Yep.
Like it's just like it's always the efficiency and the ease are always going to win. So you just have to prepare for that and then figure out where does the opportunity still exist. And there will be extremes. I mean, we see it in the real estate all the time. A few years ago, it was the iBuyers are coming in and they're going to put everybody out of business. You don't need an agent because we're going to buy your house through our process and Purple Bricks and all these guys, Open Door, everyone came. Where are they now? Purple Bricks is
Yeah.
gone. Open Door's not buying anymore, right? So these things happen all the time, and that's the extreme, though. And so I think that there are pieces that should go away. Yes, but I don't do them already, right? Like even when if I sell a few homes to just personal friends and family and things like that. If my best friend called me tomorrow and was like, "Can you show me 123 Street?" I'm going to tell him no. I'm going to get one of my agents probably to open the door for him, but my value to him is not like there's literally an app called Showami where I can schedule an agent just to go open and show him a home, right?
Yep.
He doesn't need me to show him where the kitchen is. He's pretty smart. He can figure that out. He'll be okay. My value is not that. Now, if I'm a bad agent and I've built my value to him as me opening that door and showing him that house, and then there's an automated way that that can happen, I've just eliminated myself because I made my value that is something that is replaceable. If instead my value is, hey, dude, go look at that house. And when you find that house, give me a call. And when that house is the one, like when I'll get someone to show you around, they're going to know the market for you. But when you find the one, you walk in, you're like, this is it. Call me. And then I'm going to go to work for you. And I'm going to negotiate the absolute best terms. I'm going to get you the best conditions. I'm going to make sure that house is exactly what we think it is. I'm gonna have it appraised. I'm gonna do all the work. I'm gonna negotiate that contract like nobody else. If my value becomes that, he's not gonna call an AI assistant to do those things, right?
Yep.
And so now I've made my value irreplaceable. Now my
Yeah.
value is something he can't automate. And so that's the key, right? I think we just have to look at where are we pitching our value, and if your value is replaceable, especially replaceable by AI, you need to shift right now because it's not that it's coming, it's here and it's only getting better. So, and for some, that's going to be a difficult conversation, a difficult thing to hear, but I truly believe it.
Yeah. No, and I completely agree with you. I mean, I think it's we're in an age right now, just like you mentioned, like when everybody was starting to adopt the internet. I mean, 5 years from now, if you're not incorporating AI into the vast majority of your processes, you are going to be left behind.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of where it's at. So for some folks, it can be scary, but I think there's a lot more positives that are going to be coming from it than negatives. So. Um, no, I love that. So you guys got Empower off the ground. Is it just a few months old?
Yeah, I built it. We built everything in the last 4 months from
Wow.
start to finish.
Wow. So, and every founder that I talk to says the first 3, 6, 12 months are obviously a roller coaster in a lot of ways. What would you say has been the toughest part for you so far in getting this thing off the ground?
I mean, we're fortunate enough, right, where we're unique in that most prop tech, especially, comes from outside of the brokerage world. They come from either a different industry, right? And they just look at real estate and say, oh, okay, that, there's a lot of antiquated real, a lot of antiquated technology in real estate, and, the industry is slow to move, all of which are correct. And so they see white space and then they're like, all right, let's go build something for real estate. That's 95% of prop tech, right? Is not built from, there are very few prop tech companies that started at the brokerage level or even operate at the brokerage level and then built a tool literally at the brokerage level
Yeah.
and rolled it out, right? So that's number one. So we have a unique perspective there because our tool is literally built by agents. Then we have the other side of it where my business partners they've been in the Century 21 system for, this will be the 36th year. And their dad was actually the founding father of Century 21 brand in the state of Florida. So back in 1973, when Century 21 had just started franchising, he bought the master franchise rights for Florida, grew it to a few hundred locations, sold it back to Century 21 corporate. And then 36 years ago, my business partners came literally full circle and bought one small Century 21 from a guy who their dad had sold that guy's dad years prior.
Oh
So
gosh.
legitimately came full circle. So I say that to say they've been in the industry a long time and they've been in the brand a long time. So the amount of contacts, the amount of influence we have within the real estate industry is massive, but especially within the Century 21 system. So I mean, we went to a conference yesterday. It was just a C21 conference. This is literally every single brokerage there signed up. So that's the difference, right? We have a tool that works because it's literally built for the everyday agent, and we have a captivative audience that we have a lot of credibility with. So we don't have that challenge. Where our challenge in the roller coaster ride for us is we're going from zero to, and then we've got a deal right now. I won't say specifically who because there's still details to be done, but let's just say we will be within all of Century 21 Canada very soon, and we will be within Century 21 South America very soon. And
Wow.
because of that, we went from zero to like 100 miles an hour very, very quickly. And
Yeah.
with that comes a lot of like catch up and like, oh shit, we didn't plan for that and this and then. So now we're playing a little catch up. But it can all be managed and it'll all get done. But those are the things, again, like we could have debated and should we wait and should we do, and I just don't do that. We're gonna break some stuff, but we're gonna keep going, and that's just how we operate. But that's the roller coaster you're gonna be on, right? Of just this speed of which everything is happening.
Totally. Do you guys, how big is the team? Is it just the three of you?
So yeah, so it's four now. I did all the original development and still am developing a lot. We did just recently bring on another developer to help me. So he's now on board and helping some stuff. And then my other two business partners kind of each focus more on the relationship side, the onboarding side. So they're dealing more with the client relations than I am, so I can stay focused on actually getting these guys live. Because we white label every platform for the broker, and so for
Totally.
the brand. So it's some work to be done for sure, but yeah, they handle that piece of it. So it's really just the four of us now.
Wow, man. Yeah. And especially going, like you said, like 0 to 100 and expanding to those levels. I mean, are you anticipating, a year from now having 15 folks on the team to try and have everybody in their own little
Yeah, I
niche
mean
area?
possibly, right? I think the one thing that's really interesting is we can expand nowadays with a lot of the stuff we have to do. We're using AI to expand. So even on our
Yeah.
side, right, we're using AI to solve for a lot of the day-to-day friction points. And so that's helpful. So we can treat our AI that we created like a support system. And they're probably five employees right there, just the things that they
Yep.
do. Um, and so we'll expand that way. But yeah, we're gonna have to bring more people on the team. I mean, very realistically, by the end of this next year, I mean, we could have anywhere from 100 to 150,000 users on the platform from zero. right? So,
Yeah.
and maybe more, arguably much more. So, I mean, that's where we have to have some prep. So, especially on like the client services side, we'll definitely have a few people on the team for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I mean, it sounds like exciting times. What's the big vision for Empower AI in the next 3 to 5 years? What do you want people to be saying about you guys?
So in the next 3 to 5, I mean, my hope is that we have everyone saying that we've built the most practical, easy to use, effective software for their brokerage and made an impact on their business. That's my goal. If that's the case, then we've succeeded. Do I think that within that 3 to 5 year period, we would be likely exploring an acquisition of who we could sell to? Yeah, probably. Do I envision that we're going to hold this company for 15, 20 years? No, I don't. I think this is going to be a build it, get it to where it needs to be, and exit, and let somebody else
Hmm.
really build on top of it, whether that's a Zillow-like company or whether that's a brand or whether that's a brokerage. I think there's opportunities and use cases for all of that.
Totally.
I think that that's likely the path. But before we get there, the reason that that exit happens is because we've built something that every broker knows that they need to make their business just more practical and make their agents more productive.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, it sounds like you found not found, you built a something that's going to be a pretty big rocket ship in this industry, and that word's thrown around a lot, but and I really, from based on what you're saying, there's a gap, and you guys are filling that gap, and you already have, like you said, the relationships with the Century 21 component of it, and especially expanding to potentially Canada and South America and all of that. That's exciting stuff. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Last question for you, Mike, and then I
Yeah.
know we'll get you out of here. But um, what do you think about when you are, well, let me preface it with this. Launching a new company is all consuming, right? Especially in the early months. Like, what's been your go-to way to recharge or step away from the grind when you need to reset?
Yeah, I mean, I run and train every morning. So running for me is like my therapy time. My running and the gym time in the morning, I'm up very early, and that's the first thing I do. And I like it because number one, it forces me to make a difficult decision to get out of my nice, comfy bed every morning when I don't want to necessarily. And so I feel like if I make that hard decision, all of a sudden everything else gets a little easier. But that is my therapy time for sure. That helps. And then I coach both my kids. So I still coach two teams. So my nights and weekends are crazy. Um, but I love it and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. And so that to me is also that release when I'm out on the field with them for those couple hours each. I'm not thinking about anything else. And that's that's tough for me because if every other aspect of my life, like my head never stops and I'm constantly thinking about what's next, right? So that works for therapy, I guess, because it does clear my mind a little bit and get me to stop thinking so much about work or what, all the things going on that need to get done. So yeah, so it's really running that and then spending time with the kids and my wife. We've been married for 17 years, so she's used to my craziness. Um, but but yeah, that's it. That's my therapy, I guess.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that, and that's my dad always coached me, and it is something that I definitely take to heart. He actually just passed away a few months ago, and
Oh,
so
I'm sorry to hear that.
I appreciate it. It's something that I try and instill a lot of his principles to this day, especially in terms of just like coaching and things like that. So I love that.
Yeah.
Um, so if I'm an agent, or if an agent, broker or industry leader is listening and thinking like, I need to learn more of Empower AI, where do they go?
Yeah, go to getempowerai.com. And if you're an agent, you can sign up right through there. If you are a broker and you want to discuss a white label option, you'll see a contact form to be able to do that. And there's demos, there's all sorts of things on there that you can check out. And the agent has a free trial as well, so you can try it absolutely risk-free and give it a shot.
Awesome. Well, like you said, go to getempowerai.com and definitely learn more and try to be part of this rocket ship because this thing is going places. So really appreciate the time, Mike. Enjoyed the conversation and look forward to seeing how far you guys go.
Yeah, me as well, man. Really appreciate it.